All right. I know that not everybody might agree with me, but for me personally, Charlie Kirk uh, was a martyr, right? And he wanted to be remembered for his faith, and so I'm going to do that today, right? And if I have to suffer the consequences, so be it. Um, I want to do what I can to make sure that he's remembered for his faith. Charlie Kirk was just 31 years old. He was a father of two young children. He was known for his Christian faith and his love for his country, especially the freedom that we've fought for all throughout history. For him, American freedom was critical for us to have religious freedom, for us to be able to sit here and worship like we are now. Right? There are many places in the world where you can't do this. Right? There's many places in the world where we can do this. We can sit here and worship, but you'd have to worry about bombs coming through the roof and things like that, right? And there's churches. I'm not going to say like specific countries because I don't want to paint them in that way, but there are churches. I know missionaries where they have church services like this, just like this on Sunday, but then all of a sudden men will come in and kidnap the children and take them away. Right? We don't have to worry about that. That is a great privilege that we fought for in this country. And so, because of his political activism, he was credited with being a big part of, if not the reason why, Donald Trump won this past election. And I'm not trying to use this time to, exalt, the president or anything like that. And I'm not saying that the Republican Party is without flaws, um, but this is the party that aligned with um, Charlie Kirk's values, right? Specifically, his Christian values, and this is the party that he fought for and fought with, right? And so, how was he able to have such a major impact on a presidential election, right? Like, can you imagine? Um, I don't know if I'll ever be able to say that I was able to have a part in who became president, right? Especially because he started very small. Just he's one of you guys um, sitting in these chairs, right? He started small. He started organizing small gatherings in schools. Like I don't know if you guys have like YAF or I know some of you are involved with like FCA, right? These just small gatherings in school at just 18 years old. Right? And his organization was called Turning Point USA or TPUSA. And over the next 12 years, it would grow to 3,500 schools, 650,000 members, bringing in $85 million a year, right? Just a crazy number. Being able to hold conferences with thousands of young people, tens of thousands of young people, and employing around 800 paid workers, right? So just imagine, you know, you started a school club and it grew into something massive like this, right? Your parents would be so proud of you. They would talk about you. They would brag about you wherever you went. GMC would brag about you wherever you went. We have some people in from people that grew up at GMC that became like huge YouTubers and like actors and things like that. I don't know if you guys know, but there's a guy that grew up from GMC. He was in the Netflix drama Beef. We have people that like just blew up on YouTube and things like that, and GMC talks about them. They talk about them like their own kids, right? And so he was a massive success. Why was he a massive success? Because he was vocal. Can we all say vocal? This is something that I want us all to take. If there's anything that we could take away from him, he was vocal. He was unafraid to stand up for what he believed in, right? And that's something that a lot of us struggle with, right? I think we can all agree that a lot of us struggle with being vocal, about our faith. A lot of us struggle talking to our friends and our classmates about Jesus. And the sad thing is, most of us will graduate that way. And most of us will just kind of fly through the 3 years of middle school and 4 years of high school and may never even talk to anyone about our faith, may never even share about Jesus because we're afraid, right? And I understand that. Okay, I'm not judging you. I'm not talking down to you, but that's something that we all struggle with. But Charlie Kirk did not struggle with that. He embodied being vocal about what he believed in. On the internet, online, he became quickly known as the guy that would go to college campuses and debate students. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried that before. If you've tried like evangelizing at school or on like a college campus, it's terrifying, right? Especially if you're at a school where you know everybody's smarter than you, right? I was a UMBC student. Now try to evangelize at College Park. So obviously they're all smarter than me, right? Minus the nursing med students at my school. But I understood, you know, like, and I even evangelized at like Georgetown. Okay, so obviously I knew that you know, they were operating at a very different IQ level. And so it could be very terrifying, right? Especially for Charlie Kirk, who was a college dropout, right? But this ended up causing a lot of viral videos of Charlie Kirk, quote unquote, destroying students on topics like Christianity, abortion, gender identity, race relations, the importance of family, right? Things like that. And because he was having so much success, because he became a little bit too good at what he was doing, liberals began putting him in the same category as our president. The language started changing, the label started changing, and he became labeled as a Nazi, as a fascist. You know, and this is something that I want you guys to really be aware of, right? How dangerous it is when we label people a certain way because they don't agree with us, right? Maybe like 10 years ago, 10 years ago, being a conservative, we were labeled as being like sexist or a bigot, something like that, right? But because we're now a little bit too successful, we've kind of become the majority. That language, that rhetoric has become ramped up, right, to being a Nazi, being like Hitler, being a fascist, right? And so literally these people are writing on their bullets these types of things, right? That we're fascists or whatever, right? And so I want us to really be careful with how we label people. Okay, just because they disagree with you does not make them a fascist. Does not make them a Nazi. And when we use this sort of language, it can end up in horrific events like this, right? It can end up in violent events like this, right? And something that really shocked me about what happened, we were talking about it a little bit in our teachers meeting before service, but now I was really shocked at how young the shooter was, right? He's only a few years older than some of you, right? And you know, judging by some of the details that have come out in the past couple of days, there's evidence that like he grew up in the church, just like you guys, right? Like the parents, in order to get him, to convince him to turn himself in, they reached out to their youth pastor and had their youth pastor come and talk to him. Right? That's like, that would be like your parents reaching out to me, right? And so the scary thing is how quickly the wrong type of social media intake, right? The whatever you're watching, whatever you're listening to on the internet, whatever types of like Discord groups you're a part of, or whatever Reddit forums you're a part of, like it can cause us to become very radical very quickly. I don't know when it started for him, but it couldn't have been more than a few years, right? And so I want us to really be careful, guys, of what we're taking in, as we're, most of us have phones and things like that, right? Um, but Charlie Kirk, he never forced his beliefs on anyone. He was known for creating a space for open debate on American college campuses and high schools um, that have largely silenced the conservative Christian voice. Right? It's no secret that colleges and our schools, right, something that our government's trying to work on right now is bringing prayer back into schools. Right? That was taken away a long time ago. But he was trying to bring back open conversations about faith and things like that on campuses that have, tried to silence it for a long time now. Okay, but it's just so ironic, right? It's so contrary to why colleges even exist, right? Liberal arts colleges are supposed to be exactly the place where people have these open conversations and these open debates, right? It's in the same spirit as I don't know if you guys know, but like Mars Hill, Areopagus Hill in Athens, right? The place where all the smartest people in the city would come together and they would debate and they would have these conversations for the sake of higher education, for people becoming more knowledgeable, and that's what's supposed to be happening on college campuses. That's why college campuses exist. Right? It's not supposed to be a thing where it's like you only are allowed to talk about like one side of the aisle and the other side of the aisle has to be completely quiet. That's not the way that it should be. And he was a key figure in bringing that back to our college campuses. Right? He was someone that was trying to pave the way so that for when you guys go to college and you want to have conversations with people about your faith, that you wouldn't be outcasted or ridiculed and mocked and thrown to the side. Okay? And so this is supposed to be a key marker of American values, why we're supposed to be the greatest place on earth. Because no matter how different our values are, we're supposed to be able to have these free, open discussions without being punished for it. And so this is not a matter of whether you agree with Charlie Kirk or not. This is no matter what side of the aisle you are on, right? Whether you completely agree with him or somewhat agree with him or didn't agree with him at all, this is an attack on our ability to just even talk about it, to have a conversation. And Charlie Kirk was stripped of this right, and this should have bothered all of us. This should have been a very dark week for all of us, especially those of us who are Korean, right? We're just a few generations removed from possibly having to grow up in North Korea. If America had not shown up to fight, I don't know if you guys have ever thought about this, but if America had not shown up to fight for our freedom, we would have grown up in under a real dictator, under a real fascist state. We would have been killed if we said anything bad about Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-il. We would have been punished, put in jail if we didn't put pictures up of them in our homes. We would have been killed if we confessed to being a Christian. I don't know if you guys have seen, I think there's videos on YouTube and stuff, but there's Christians, there's believers in North Korea, and when they pray, they have to whisper. They have to be really quiet. Because if someone hears them, they're going to get reported and they'll be killed. Right? Let that sink in, guys. Let that sink in. How different our lives would be. For everything that we complain about in life, I mean, just imagine having to grow up in that sort of place. And so when we are privileged enough to have free speech, we should first of all appreciate it. We should thank God for it. But then we should also protect it. We should guard it. Right? It's not just something that we're entitled to. It's not just something that anybody can have. There are many places in the world where you can't have that. And that could also be taken away from us one day. We don't know. Right? You never know. And so we should protect it. When there are people being shot because others don't like the way they're exercising their free speech, we should be very disturbed. We should be very bothered by that. Wednesday was the darkest day for me since 9/11. I really could not think of anything in between 9/11 and this week. And that means for some of you, it might be the darkest moment of your life, because I'm pretty sure none of you were born on 9/11. Even the 2 weeks leading up to Wednesday, we had to hear about another trans person shooting up a Catholic school, right? This was the second time. Right? 119 bullets just sprayed into a Catholic school. Some of you go to a private Catholic or Christian school, right? These were little kids, elementary school kids, just in class. And someone just fired 119 bullets into that church. 20 kids were shot. We had a 23-year-old girl named Irina brutally stabbed in the neck on a subway simply for being white. I don't even know what that means. Like, why is that a crime, being white? But she was not the white that the person thought she was. She was a Ukrainian refugee fleeing from war so she could be safe. She fled to this country with her family so they could not die, right? So they could be safe. And she was working. And then we had Charlie, right? But not just that, we had, and this is the part that really bothered me, right? We had countless people celebrating his death. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the videos of people celebrating his death, mocking him, saying he deserved it, that he had it coming for his views, right? And what he believed in. We've had people interrupting the vigils as people are trying to mourn his death. There's crowds, right, with the candlelight vigils, and they're just trying to mourn his death, and they're singing like worship songs and stuff, and then there's people coming and interrupting that and causing fights. And so as we were witnessing all of this week, I hope that we all stopped and wondered, what is going on? What is going on in my country? What is wrong with people? Why are we like this? Because this is why Charlie Kirk ultimately wanted to be remembered for his faith. He recognized that there is a deeper problem. That at the end of the day, the debates and the arguments, they could not be the end-all be-all, right? He said that himself. The point is not these arguments and these debates, winning these debates with people, right? But this is why we need to tell people of Christ. Because we are all sinners. Because we all go astray. Because we're all like sheep being led to the slaughter. Because we all, it doesn't even make sense how sinful humanity can get, how messed up we can get. Sin doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It's completely perverted and distorted. It's the complete opposite of what God is. Charlie Kirk understood that. That's why at the end of the day, he proclaimed Christ. He knew that the only one that could save us from all this is not a president, it's not a political party, it's Christ. And so, yes, Charlie Kirk was stripped from his wife. He was stripped from his kids. He was stripped from almost 5 million subscribers. He was stripped from half the country. He was stripped from youth that looked up to him as a big brother, as a forerunner for what they believed in. He was stripped from adults that saw him as the future. Right? There's people literally thought he could be a future president. Right? He helped me go through a time where I was ridiculed for being conservative. Um, you guys haven't done this to me, thank you, but most of this happened at church. There were years where I would just go home and I'd have a very hard time because people at church ridiculed me for my views, and even my own parents thought I was crazy. Right? That was not easy. But he helped me through that. His videos helped me through that. And so even though he's been stripped away from so many of us, so many people, the most pressing thing, and Charlie Kirk understood this, right? The most pressing thing will always be the saving of lost souls, telling people about Jesus Christ. The thing that is more pressing than my own life, being able to stay alive, is the spreading of the gospel, the spreading of the good news. Even Jesus was brutally murdered and taken away from us. But when he came back, when he was resurrected and he came back, what did he do? Did he come back to get his revenge? Did he come back to express his anger and his frustration at being unfairly murdered? Or did he come back to spend some more time with us? To spend some more time with his boys, his disciples? He came back to say, go and make disciples of all nations. Peter, what are you doing? Why are you fishing again? I told you to be a fisher of men. Go back to what you're called to. Go and make disciples. Love my sheep. And so, guys, that is how we shine bright in this world. Let's go to our passage for today, Matthew chapter 5. We'll close with this, okay? Matthew chapter 5, verse 10 through 16. Blessed are those who are persecuted. Okay, persecuted means you're treated unfairly because of your faith, okay? Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. When you are persecuted, when you are ridiculed, when you are mocked, when you are beaten because of your faith in Jesus Christ, you don't just get a few reward points with Jesus. He's not just waiting for you with a nicely wrapped gift. It's not just like a handful of gold or some sort of precious jewel. The kingdom of heaven, that means everything that God has will be given to you. You are blessed when they insult you and persecute you and falsely say every kind of evil against you because of me. Be glad and rejoice, because your reward is great in heaven. For that is how they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt should lose its taste, how can it be made salty? It is no longer good for anything but to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. Right? So when you are being persecuted, when you're being treated unfairly, when you are trying to be bold and vocal about your faith and people mistreat you in awful ways, you're not just someone who's suffering. You're not a bum. You're not a loser. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. A city situated on a hill cannot be hidden. This is how we shine bright as Christians. No one lights a lamp and puts it under a basket, but rather on a lampstand, and it gives light for all who are in the house. And so when you're being persecuted and mistreated because of your faith and you being vocal, don't shy away. Don't be ashamed. Don't go and hide. It's okay. You are the light. Jesus calls you the light of the world. Okay. Verse 16, in the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. And so, guys, I don't know if you knew this, but in the same way where starlight can travel and be seen for years, even after it dying, right? Charlie Kirk will continue to shine. I don't know if you've seen some of the rallies and people. I don't know if you saw the one in like London, but it's estimated it was like 3 to 5 million people. They came out, right? And the media, they're already portraying it as like this is like a far right protest, and they're trying to get rid of all the immigrants in their country and stuff. But people are literally walking around with pictures of Charlie Kirk and things like that, right? There's millions of people all around the world. I've already heard of people coming to Christ through his death. Right? Again, I don't care. It doesn't matter what our beliefs are, like our views and our perspectives, like politically and things like that. But just the fact that people are coming to Christ, right? That's all that matters at the end of the day. Can I get an amen? Right? People are coming to Christ through his death. And I hope that we would also never be afraid to shine in the dark as we become bold, vocal believers and proclaimers of the truth, just like Charlie Kirk. And through that, may we fulfill God's promise to Abraham that we would be the descendant, that he would have descendants like the stars, as we be the light even long after our death. Let's pray.